Conversations. This is episode 2, season 2.
That's dope. Season 2, episode 2.
Yeah, but I said episode 2.
I know.
Season 2.
Before you said, it's okay.
What did you say?
I repeated what you said.
Why do you repeat what I'm saying?
I don't know. Because 9 times out of 10 you be wrong.
Sometimes I'm always right though.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Why?
I don't know. You're not right all the time.
That's why we should get a divorce.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Then that's what we're gonna do. And I think we have the perfect person here that can help us.
Who, God? What's up, man? How you feeling?
What's going on, brother? Good to
introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Sandler Francois, Premier Life Solutions, Division of Premier Paralegal, considered Brooklyn's best divorce professional, if not all of New York. And it's great to be here, T.
Yeah, you know.
Good to have you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you because we can talk about how I'm going to divorce all my women.
Well, let's get into it. Make it low cost, affordable, and legitimate. So we got the legit part will be a conflict because you're supposed to have one at a time.
I'm a big sister, so I don't count.
You just can't get rid of them. You know. So tell us about what you actually do and how do you help these divorcees, right? Divorcees, people want to be divorced. And
people
one day.
I say people looking for freedom. In a nutshell, I say we help people get their life back, right? You know, at the end of the day, divorce is already a heart-strenuing thing, right? Yeah. You know, it's painful. You know, it's best to try to put a smile on it because, you know, right before the smile came a lot of heartache and pain.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, what we're big at in our office is once people make that hard decision on their own, we're not big on selling divorces. We don't say, are you ready? All right, sit down here, fill this out, and guess what? You're ready to go. We ask them, first and foremost, are you sure? Are you sure? Because this is something where you're about to make a big change in your life. You know, getting married was a big enough change in the first place. You know, a change that you hope would have been a lifetime.
Yeah, even if it's your second one, it's your biggest choice.
Or third.
Third biggest choice.
Or fourth.
Fourth biggest choice.
I've helped people going on their 7th.
I was going to say, that's what I was going to ask.
That's a lot, bro.
Like,
well,
7th marriage?
7th. I can tell you.
Is it 7 like 2 years here, 2 years here, 4 years here, 3 years here? Like
7
that?
for one person, something.
7 marriages. Yeah. The first one I met this particular person on their 2nd. I was actually in the court. They were trying. A lot of courts have what's they call the office of the self-represented, the pro se.
Okay.
And this woman was there. And the clerk who I was familiar with said, talk to him. Because apparently she was trying to do this stuff herself, which you don't always recommend people do, right?
Right.
So I met her, gave her a card, didn't think anything of it. She reached out, and I helped her divorce her second husband. A year or so later, she said she went to either Bahamas or Trinidad somewhere. What was that movie? Stella Got Her Groove Back? She went.
Was he a gay? Because the guy in the Stella was a gay after they found out.
I didn't think so. I think he was on point.
He just was a young guy.
He was a young guy that she ended up letting go of. So that was number 3.
Okay.
Right.
And then 6 months after that divorce, she got married. So number 4. And then number 7, if this is 2018, number 7 was like in 2016. So I helped her.
So what would you call it?
Sex a lot then.
It's not even that.
She's like a whore. She's like a whore.
Would you say that she's obsessed with getting married?
I think she's just a whore.
That's not nice.
Think about it though. Like if she's being with all these guys, I mean, she was in love, right?
Right. Hungry for love.
Hungry for love.
I would say that. That sounds better.
Hungry for love.
And she likes to have sex.
It's not about that.
With 7 different guys.
I think it's something where she feels like she has to be married to, once she enters a relationship, she needs to be married. It has to be a reason why she feels like she has to marry these men.
Well, I could definitely say she was looking for love in all the wrong places, at least 7 times, right?
That's a lot of times.
Or maybe one of them was the right one, but she didn't make the decision to be committed, because love is a difficult thing.
Right.
What's one of the biggest reasons people get divorced? It has to be money, though. That's what I would think.
I'd say money's up there, but you know what? What ties into money? What ties into infidelity? What ties into different marital strife is always rooted in communication or lack thereof. Right. It's just lack of communication.
That's the biggest...
Lack of keeping it 100.
Why you sound like my wife?
Because that's what it is.
Like,
I feel like we don't communicate enough in relationships. We really do not communicate
enough.
But the
lack of... Like, what am I supposed to tell you? Oh, I'm going to put my slippers on?
No, that's not
like I'm going... I'm going to open up the cabinet to get some cereal out. It might fall on the floor, but it's not my fault.
See, this is why he needs to come to the Battle of the Sexes on the 26th so he can sit down, because I'm one of the panelists there. And you need to really sit there. You and your wife. We're doing couples, singles, married couples.
We're going to be having sex that day.
I don't think Ari has communication issues. See, he's such a great communicator. He's a man of the people. You know,
I am a people's person.
I don't see lack of communication with him, but what I will say, a lot of people really don't have their own definition of love. What would you say love is?
Money.
No, seriously, what do you think love is?
Love can be defined in Webster's dictionary. Love is when you care for somebody, when you care for them deeply, right? And you don't want to see that person without being lonely, and you without being lonely, and you can see yourself with this person. Love to me means when you can't be without this person. You can't breathe without this person. Mm-hmm. You can't see yourself in the next day without this person.
Pretty good.
You know, that's what love means to me. When you can't be without that one particular person, you know. So
your wife listens to this.
Sometimes she does, sometimes she don't.
Tell her listen to this point. Whatever clip this is, tell her listen, put it on repeat, because that was authentic. I could
tell her that she'll be like, make sure you buy me something for my birthday. That's what she'll say.
And then I'll throw my 2 cents in, but first, Teak, love.
Wow.
It's like he interviewed you.
I know, right?
I'm just curious.
Well, I do think love is a lot of pretty much what he said, but it's also I think love to me is about also caring about someone's feelings, other than just yours. It's just pretty much caring about any and everything that they do.
I respect that.
And I think we don't do that enough. Like, and I'm to the little things, like just caring if that person had a good day, probably ate that day. It's hard to say because I just feel like people don't genuinely love.
Wow.
They don't genuinely love, and I think I love. I think I wear my heart on my arm. I really do. I love really hard.
Right.
I feel like when I have, and it goes with friends, even relationships. Like I'm really into that person, making sure that they're good at all times. I will put them before me. I feel like that's what love is. You have to put that person before you.
That's significant.
What about you?
Love. Well, I decide love. Well, this is what I like to say. Love is a decision to be committed. It's a decision to be committed. That decision then leads to emotion. So I've learned from everything I've been through. I've been married myself for 22 years, with my wife for 28 years altogether. So shout out to my wife, Itaya. I love you. My 4 kids. I love y'all. Beautiful. You know, peace. But love is a decision to be committed. That decision leads to feelings then of nurturing, attachment, you know, and a bond that can only be found from being committed. So it's that glue. It's that glue. You have to. It's a contract that can't be broken.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what helps me make it through. And I see a lack of that. Yeah. You know, or else why would I be so busy?
Yeah.
Right.
So what's the rate now though? Like, what's the rate of marriages right now? Like, what's that rate, that percentage of married couples right now?
So overall, if you're saying heterosexual marriages, it fluctuates.
I forgot we got to go like both different.
You know. Yeah, right. You know, but I'll acknowledge both. And in a whole, if you want to talk about in a whole, I would say it's 6 out of every 10 couples do get married.
6.
All right, and this is going according to the Department of Health, their numbers, their census numbers. You know, now if you talk about heterosexual couples, I'll say it's on decline. Say 4.5. You know, a little under 50% of marriages, heterosexual couples get married. So, but at the end of the day, the divorce rate, you know, maintains, you know, some people have said 55, some people say 60. You know, I've seen numbers as high as close to 70%. of marriages that don't last more than 3 years.
Now, this is my issue, though. Like, in the African American community, how many, like, what's the percentages in that community, in our community, in the African American community? Because we do need fathers and stuff like that, and mothers around and stuff like that. Sometimes you don't see that household. That's why I want to know the numbers in our household, in our African American households, because you don't see that. You don't see mommy and daddy married. You see what? Mama Bill, father in jail.
Right.
Not even that.
Father in jail.
Let's not even go to there. Let's just say that you do see mothers and fathers together in the same household, but they're not married.
Right.
So, like my kids' grandparents have been together for about at least 42 years that I can think of. Never married.
Wow.
All three of their children are by both,
And they do everything like as a married couple would.
They live together. They've been living together
Not that you would know where their finances intermingled. Would you think? Like,
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was just they became comfortable and they just felt like we don't need to get married because we know we love each other.
That's fair. That's fair.
We've been doing this for so many years. I don't know, but that's not the only couple that I know that have been together for so many years and never got married. Well, you have those are your kids that live in the house with you. You've been doing this for so many years. You take care of your household together. We consider them, they're married. But
everything but the paperwork.
Right, the paperwork, they're not married. And at least 42 years because it can be longer. That's a long time. It can honestly be longer because their dad is, my kid's dad is like about 42. So they've been together, I think, before that. So.
Well, I respect that, but even that's a rarity. I'm sad to say because if you ask my personal opinion, I would consider that a marriage, right? But then
it's common law marriage, though, right?
Not in New York State.
No, in
New York State doesn't acknowledge common law marriage. But at the end of the day, I would respect that just as much as I would respect my own parents, over 40-year marriage, because at the end of the day, it depends on your religious stance. It depends on your personal outlook. I would personally say that's a married couple. But but do they have the benefits? Because we know in a lot of ways marriage is established as a form of business, right?
Yeah, of course.
Sort of like a corporate effort. It's you and I side by side. We're partners, and you and I incorporated, right?
Sometimes the partners steal from the pot.
Yeah. Well, that happens too, right? And you can't say much, right?
You can't say much.
You can't.
You can say, right?
There's no criminal court you can take them to for that, But when it boils down to a lot of marriages, you asked Ari, I tend to be involved in divorcing older couples.
Okay.
I get less and less younger couples. When I say younger, I mean I don't get too many under 30.
Okay.
And it's not because they're married from 20 beyond that. It's just I don't get a lot of married people that I'm meeting that are getting divorced that got married in their late 20s or mid 20s or anything like that. They tend to be late 40s, early 50s.
Why do you think that though? Why do you think you're not getting the younger people? Do you think they just like, fuck it, I'm gonna just be with this person and dish it out until I'm like 45, and then I'm like, I'll call it quits?
Tons of reasons. Well, one of them I think is that the fact that marriage is changing. Society is different now, and the idea of what a relationship hasn't been newly defined. So for what's normal for me, when I hear, I'm not familiar with Tinder or online dating. Right. That's a bug out to me. I don't understand how
Christian
that works.
Mingle.
Yeah. I don't know how any of that stuff works.
Shout out to Christian Mingle too, because it's really big in the world right
it's
now.
$1 million. If you talk about business, you talk about millions of dollars. Yeah. But I don't understand. I met my wife the old-fashioned way. We were born in the projects. We met. We actually met through our parents. I said, "Wow, she's cute." And then after that, we lived in the same building. I didn't see her for a whole year. After me, I lived only four floors apart.
Oh wow!
And then when I saw her again, I went for my chance. And you
got it.
Yeah.
You kept it for like 39 years. 28. You said
28. But so now I don't think people are like passing notes over and say, "Do you like me? Yes. Do you want to go out with me? No. Or will you be my boyfriend? Or maybe." It's more like people meet each other in different ways now, and that contributes to how relationships, tend to not result in marriage.
Yeah.
So do you think it's more so a lot of younger people are getting married not because of love, but maybe because it's a business thing, or I don't know.
I think culturally, I think you like I have a lot of Caribbean clients.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to get married.
I do agree with that.
I do agree.
I feel like
my wife is Jamaican.
for some reason, right? Because
our family's.
we have in-laws that are Haitian and they're big on like marriage.
Marriage, yeah. It's like I said, Sandler Francois,
yeah.
you know.
They're
So,
big on marriage. My sister, husband is Haitian, and a family, beautiful family, but they are big on.
I think I was telling Tika, it was one girl I was dealing with years ago. I won't say her name because I want to give her no shout out. But her, she was big on like me meeting the family. You know what I'm saying? Me meeting the family, and I'm like, yo, I'm not ready. Like, I might leave you tomorrow and see your mother the next day. You know what I'm saying? I meet your mother one day. I might leave you this day. See your mother the third day. She's like, wanting to fight me. But I feel like right now, because I'm 33 and I got married last year, so I feel like I feel like younger people should get married because you can't sit up here and have like 4 or 5 kids with one person and not have like these ultimate deep feelings for her.
Right.
Like you have to look into yourself and realize like, do you want to just like keep shacking up for the rest of your goddamn life, or you want to just buckle down and say, okay, let's make this into a partnership where we're gonna grow from this through love.
that's great.
You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, I think that's why.
But that's so. Do you think because?
Ask him. He's the marriage guru.
Right. Well, you sound like you got a little bit
You
of
doing your thing,
something
man.
under your
I'm
belt
not
over here, right?
I'm chilling.
So do you think, like he said, okay, so you have a couple of kids together, you just feel like you should get married, you've been together for all these years? Because I feel like I should get married to the man that I really love or I'm in love with. So that's why I didn't get married the first time with my oldest kid's dad.
First time. So how many times?
Because I loved him. We had 2 children
She said
together.
the first time.
We was together a total of maybe 7 years, like 7 years.
Okay, you put in time. But you just weren't ready to. Was it you individually weren't ready, or you think you two as a couple weren't ready?
Both.
Okay, so it just wasn't time yet, and perhaps.
I was young.
All right,
Both.
there's another component,
And I feel like I needed to be in really be in love, and I wasn't in love. I loved him, but I wasn't deeply in love. Where I said where I knew I could spend the rest of my life for him. I didn't feel that.
Did you have the same definition of love then than you do now?
No.
So it's a maturity issue,
right?
Perhaps, which is no one's guilty of, right? It's just some people would say I got married when I was 20.
I think that's too young.
Perhaps. Now, would I tell my own children to get married at 20? Very likely not.
No,
likely not.
I wouldn't tell my daughter to get married at even 29. I would say wait.
Well, you know what? No one told me to get. Let me take that back. No one told me. I chose. I had a very interesting childhood. I've been on my own since I was 16 years old. Yeah. So I grew up pretty fast. But yeah, one of those. And for the longest time, I used to say my wife represented the innocence that I lost a long time ago. Yeah. So she kept me straight. She knowing that I had her, and she wasn't about that life, so to speak. She was living with her parents, who did a great job helping me out during those years. There was very much a support system there. Mm-hmm. Right. So I would think my circumstances were unfortunate yet different. Mm-hmm. And it led to me making that decision early on. Mm-hmm. Now, my kids, I have a 17-year-old in my house, so she hasn't been on her own. I have young people, so they don't have that same situation. So I wouldn't let them, in the context of their existence, say, I think that's a great idea. Right. I would encourage them to live life like what you're saying and make more mistakes.
Right. Yeah. Make more mistakes.
Because that's what I feel like. That's what life is about, especially when you get married at this point. Like, if you get married even at 27, like, you're gonna make some mistakes.
Amen.
We're gonna married people make mistakes. Like, that's a part of life. I'm just not big on. Honestly, I'm not big on divorce. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like it's some things that you can work out. Like, you have to have that partner.
I feel like it's a
who
lot
says,
of things you can work
out. I think almost everything.
I feel like everything.
A lot of
so
people
it's like
take the littlest things and
so it's like your partner.
They done it over. Like,
so if you
like
with your partner and he or she is like, oh well, let's look at this gonna lead to divorce. How? What are you doing? What's going on that's gonna lead to that?
Right.
Because it's everything, like T just saying. You just said everything can work out. You just have to put the time and the effort in.
And I feel like when you don't want
that's
to,
why when you said like
the
numbers is what 60 something,
right? Yeah,
that's a little much, even for a 40-something-year-old person coming to you. Like, dude, like a woman, you've been married to this guy for like almost
10 years,
and you just decided this, bitch. Put your clothes, take your clothes off. Give him what he wants.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because obviously you're not giving him something. Because for the whole time in your relationship for 10, 15 years, something was going on that he wasn't getting, or you wasn't, or you wasn't giving him, and he wasn't giving you. So y'all need to talk about it, hash it out.
But you know what? The only mistake I'll say we're all making here is that we're all different.
Exactly.
The majority of people choose to be the same. And let's go back to that business concept, right? Yeah. McDonald's, when they first were discovered, I like to relate a lot of like business and a lot of even
because
it's
all the same thing.
It's the same
probably
thing.
a business lawyer too.
I love business.
Yeah,
So when McDonald's first came out, it was just fries and shake, right? Mm-hmm. But as time evolved, it became Big Mac, quarter pounder. Why? Because they realized their relationship with their customer was not going to stay the same if they only sold fries and shake. Exactly. So the same thing with a marriage. Every 5 years, every 10 years, every 15 years, you got to do the heavy lifting of asking yourself, what is this about? How does this work? Yeah. What are we now? Because I assure you, I'm 42. My wife is, and at this age, I'm sure she has different needs versus than what she did at 30. And it's my responsibility. If I'm committed, like I said earlier, it's to inspect, to investigate, to be patient, right? Mm-hmm. To be patient and to say, all right, this is who you are now in the context of your existence. And how can I nurture that? How can I fit into that? And I don't think that really happens anymore. Perhaps people just weren't taught. They weren't shown that.
Right.
Do you feel like as a attorney, right, a lawyer,
divorce professional,
divorce professional,
divorce professional,
professional,
and I'll break down the difference in a second.
All right, cool. You're gonna break it down for us. But do you feel like you give more counseling than legal advice?
I'll say 80% of what I do is more counseling and more directional. Yeah. I don't like the term life coach. People use that, and now it's kind of played out. It don't.
You get a certificate. They say, okay, you're life coach.
Dun, 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 and at the end of the day, what I think we're looking at is people just need more direction. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if it's just about divorce, you can go to the court. They will give you a thick book of instructions to follow. Put your name here, put their name here, check this box, go to the cashier, pay them $210, and they sign their part. Go to a notary, don't forget the notary, and then after that, guess what? You sit back and you bake the thing in terms of it going to the judge. You come back, a divorce is cooked up, right? So at the end of the day, one of the first things we like to do at Premier is I have a small but effective staff, and I encourage them to ask, are you sure? And we sit back and we listen, and you get to hear so many. Now this is only.
I like when people cry. Do they
but
cry?
What is
the
worst? The worst, like the most horrible stories you.
I know you got some stories.
If I said infidelity, that's too common.
I think that's common, but like something like.
I can tell you of instances where two people got married and they weren't told by their family that they were related.
I like
one off really, not like
not the fact that I like that, but I like it because y'all are dumb. You know, what I'm saying?
It makes you question. Well, they were around each other for years, and the families. It's a weird story if I had time to get, but two people have realized that they were one off, not 5 or 6 off. Right. Not that they met random in the street. Off? They all lived in the same neighborhood.
No, there was one off.
One off.
Not he's saying not 5. 5 or 6 I can see.
Right, because that happens. Yeah.
But one off?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can tell you stories that may sound, if not awkward, in the day and time we live in, right? We talked about same sex versus heterosexual. Mm-hmm. There were two women came into the office. Sometimes a client comes in and they need moral support, right? So a guy will bring his friend, woman will bring her homegirl. So 2 women come into the office. We do the intake, your name, your spouse's name, blah, blah, blah. So after they're done, well, after this one woman's done, she gives the paper over to me, and I'm looking at it, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. I give it back to her, so you have to sign off here. So she shows it to the woman that's with her. So I said, okay. Perhaps, I don't know, maybe she left her glasses at home or something. So she shows, I said, so okay, so next step is your husband's going to come in and sign. He says, well, when do I tell him to come in and sign? I said, well, I'll let you know. I said, are there a few questions you may have? And the other woman spoke. So I looked and I said, okay, maybe this is the woman's sister-in-law and that woman's her husband's brother, right? You follow me? Mm-hmm. It turned out that woman was once the husband who had a sex change during the marriage.
He was a transvestite.
What's that?
Kris Jenner?
Transgender? Well, when you're sexually reoriented,
yes,
what transgender, right?
You're transgender,
yes.
But they will be preferred as a woman.
Yeah, she was definitely categorized as, and she looked very much like a woman.
Okay.
When she came into the office,
did you look?
I didn't know what I was looking at. but when you see the ID, when you saw the ID, it was an ID of a male.
Okay.
You know, so those are the different kinds of things that I guess.
I just did that because they normally just.
I like to elaborate on
they
that.
do everything. They switch over everything.
Because
that when you saw
the woman, the two women come in, you said you felt like they were like best friends. Right?
They were close. And they never.
So he couldn't be close when he was,
Well,
they were married.
They were close enough
when
that
they wanted to keep the marriage together.
They were close enough that the woman, the woman who was formerly a man, said his wife helped him to realize his true self.
Do you think he
or
had
her true self?
Do you think he had her clothes on, or?
Well, they could have worn each other's clothes. I promise you. They could have worn each other's.
The same size.
But
size 12.
Yeah, but my question is, when it boiled down to it, the thing we asked in the office is, who is actually getting divorced? Okay. Is it the woman? And what is the judge going to sign off on?
Yeah, because the judge has to sign off.
Right. So we had to present all the medical paperwork. And along, when you have these sort of procedures done, you have to go through all sorts of psychological counseling and what have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we had all the paperwork that we had to add as a supplement to the normal divorce papers, right? This isn't normal. It has extra sprinkles on top. And we had to give it in for the court to approve it.
Wow.
Interesting. Shout out to that couple. They probably,
They're an original.
They're in
right. We did the second same-sex divorce in all of New York City. Because, as you know, civil unions, same-sex divorces were previously called civil unions. They weren't considered, legal marriages.
And you on your 1,000?
1,000.
1,000
in 10 years, we've done 1,000.
1,000.
1,000. Helping 500 couples get their life back.
Wow. Well, back to single life.
Yeah. But some of them got remarried.
Right.
That's what I don't
to the same individual.
That's what I don't like, though. Like,
that was going to be my next.
I don't think you should get remarried right away, though.
Why not?
Sometimes
I think you should
separate.
realize you messed up.
I realize
right,
you should
need
be
to
free.
Separate,
right?
Start all over again,
right?
And it works out the second time around. You don't think so?
Of course, you would say that.
I enjoy those, and you know what? Guess
what?
We give, if you decide to reconcile, we give you a refund. I haven't given out a lot of refunds, but we've given out a refund.
How much is it? $5?
The lowest is $5, but it can go upwards of $2,000.
So you get the whole $2,000 back
if you reconcile
in cash.
I didn't say that.
No, I want cash.
Well, I'm sure however they pay is how they get it back. The check will clear. I promise the check will clear.
That's the only thing that matters. The check will clear.
Because I'm looking for a check.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, marriage. They said weddings are like $1 billion industry.
Very much so.
Right? Mm-hmm. And that's a fact. Now, being divorced is what type of, like, if you was to put a money on it, like a money, because it's like, if you say $1 billion industry to get married, for the wedding,
right?
I would say, me personally, is like almost $1 million plus for divorce.
I would say it's in the middle, not quite like as high as wedding, because look at all the expenses that come with weddings.
Yeah, it's a lot of expensive, but it's also a lot of expenses that come with with divorces too.
That's right.
Why is it so expensive to get divorced?
But I think the initial expense, the financial expense, just to get the divorce done is the lowest. Mm-hmm. I think the moving out, I think that now
Now
establishing
you have to, who
who gets what, and now you got to start all over.
Right.
For some people file bankruptcy, right? So you're really pressing the reset button on your life in a way. Like now if you have kids, now I have to get a place for the kids to sleep. You have to get or you're going to stay with the kids. And a lot of times, Ari.
Yeah, you got to point to me.
Guess what? You might be paying spousal support, which may include child support and rent and tuition.
You know what?
That's why I say it's cheaper to keep.
It's cheaper to keep them.
That's a commonly referenced term,
You know
and
what?
I agree
I'll
with it for the rest
give
of my
you
life.
whatever you want. Yes, like it. Listen, take it back to slavery. Yes, boss. What you said, boss? You want me to throw out the garbage 4 times a week, boss? Yes, boss. But see, this is how I look at it, right? When women and men, when we get married,
Right.
You don't think that way. Like you're not, you don't. Your
Right.
thought process is, I'm gonna make this shit work, regardless of anything. There's, you sometimes, and I know we say it. This bitch gonna get whatever she want. We're gonna give this bitch whatever she want, regardless of whatever. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
But, and it don't work out like that.
Right.
And then we say, you know what? Then one of the people at the couple say, you know what? I want to get divorced. You know what I would say to that person if they get asked me for advice, don't do it, because all of these fees with the lawyer fees, right?
Yeah, but if you're not happy, listen, if somebody's genuinely not happy and it's really not going to work and it results to listen.
Why you not happy?
Well, I don't know. It
But that's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? Why you not happy?
But we don't want things to be within a situation where it's violent. So if it's going to be like that,
I think if it get violent, it's different. If it get violent, but
if some people just get to the point where they really can't live together.
But if you can fix,
and it's
I'm big on that. If you can fix it, I feel like you can really fix a lot of things.
That's why. Do you feel like women should? Do you feel like men and women should go to counseling before
hit around the head?
Before the marriage, before the marriage,
so what's the percentage?
And during the marriage.
All right. So what's the percentage between let's just break it down, white and black couples? Married couples like that will go to counseling, because I feel like
more white people don't white people will go to counseling. Black people will feel like, nigga, you crazy?
Right.
I would tend to tell me what to do or how to.
Right. Because you think you got it all figured out, or you don't want to admit that you don't have it all figured out.
Right.
I think marriage is one of the hardest jobs. You can go to college, you can go to the military, you can even start your job when you get orientation before your first day. But marriage, no one goes to premarital counseling, and it doesn't have to be a reverend if you're not into that. It doesn't have to be an imam, rabbi, whatever. It could just be someone who I think your marriage counselor should be married also.
Yeah,
absolutely. I personally don't believe in a marriage counselor that's been divorced, and you could be remarried.
Oh my
God! I don't believe in divorced marriage counselors, because I'm like, you haven't figured out certain aspects
of your life.
Right.
So how you're
going to tell me
how to put this back together
and put it back together, right?
And that's one of the things I must say. I did go to marriage counseling. Right,
that's a good thing.
And we did go to our pastor at our church, and we talked about whatever issues that I guess would happen in the marriage, and talk about our plans for the future.
Right.
And we hit everything on the nail. You just felt at that part we wasn't able to like have sex before the marriage. Like,
nobody's perfect.
Like, we definitely like had sex.
You're forgiven.
Yeah.
Blessings came from it.
Yeah. Son came from it.
There you go.
Son came from it. Well, not from it that time, because people hear.
Eventually.
People going to hear it and say, oh, I knew you was right. You did it right before you got married. No, it happened the night we got married. But how I see it, right, you should have counseling. And I feel like divorce lawyers or divorce professionals should offer cards for people, like, hey, go see this person, and then come back.
Or possibly hold seminars or something.
I think that
because I feel like sometimes they just take the money and go, oh, you know what, you're gonna give us the $5,000, cool, I'll take it, and I'll get this nigga out your life real quick.
I think it has to be a mutual decision. It only works if both people go.
Right.
There you go.
Because I've met.
I'm sorry to coach you. Do you ask that question?
Have they gone to counseling?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Is that part of the intake?
Ask them, are they sure? And then it's sort of the discussion
I
evolves.
want to work at your office, so I'm trying to put more stuff in there. So
I think it'd be great. Hey, if you get a what is it? There's a certain kind of reverence license that you can get like on the quick.
Got it.
That you can come in, you'll be an instant counselor.
Got it.
Chaplain's license.
Chaplain's
license. We can talk about it off camera.
Money.
I think he'd be all right. Eventually. You know,
eventually,
after a few, you say, "Oh, that didn't work out. Oh, let's see, it didn't work out."
You himself.
I think I could have talked to him a little bit differently. We'll do it. Hey, come on back, y'all. But I think at the end of the day, if one person goes to marital counseling, you might as well just go to counsel on your own about what it's like of being divorced already, because it takes two to tango. I mean, you both walked into the church together, you know.
Exactly.
Then why not walk into counseling together?
This is what I heard when I got married, and my pastor said, you see all of these people that you invited, something like, if you guys ever think about getting divorced, should be the people that you should have here and give them back their money.
That's pretty good. So how did you feel when you heard that?
So I'm going to keep this happening. Hell, a hot wall.
That's right.
Cheaper to keep, and then when you know that you can work things out.
Yes.
That's the key.
So it sounds like you had something that I don't see a lot of. You understand the terms of your relationship to some extent.
To some extent.
Because you don't know yourself fully. You don't know your partner fully. Right. But you both have to understand how far things,
Because you come
into
a marriage.
But it took a long time before.
Yeah, no, it took me quite a long time before 11 years to actually.
And that's so long. So what?
Jump.
That's a long time to wait to decide to marry someone. You don't think so?
He waited a long time.
No, I didn't.
He only waited 8 years, right?
Not even.
Well, I proposed when I was 20.
Right, he was 20.
6 years.
I
met my wife for 14.
Years.
6 years.
So see,
But
he was young. So
I got you. So I think when it boils down to it, it's individual. It's no different than building a house, right? How long is it going to take to build this house versus going to take to build this house? As long as you can live in it for the rest of your life afterward.
Foundation is important.
Foundation is you took that one. I didn't even see that one. You took the foundation.
Give me a hop.
Come on, you know what you're doing. He's gonna be married for a long time.
Probably.
He's gonna be married for a long time.
It depends. If they stop giving me, their numbers, I'm just joking. But no, the foundation is important.
Tremendously important.
And that's one of the things.
That's what I do every day.
And that's one of the things that I was told, that the foundation, like once you build the foundation, everything else will build. The house will build, the building will build. Once you build that foundation, once you have that foundation, and it comes from a man and a woman, or whatever, however society goes, it goes from that foundation.
And the foundation can't be the kids.
And it can't be the kids. You can't base it on, I'm gonna be with this person because we have 12 kids together. Right. No, even if you have one, that don't mean anything, because that man will leave you, or that woman will find somebody else.
Yep.
Because y'all have to have common goals, right?
That's right.
Right. So do you think in a marriage it's forever? It can possibly be forever.
I absolutely do. Until death do you part, of course, right? Right. I'm committed to being married for another 48 years.
Until she take you out.
So I'm 90.
Until she take you out, right?
Yeah. Well, as long as it's 48 years from now, I'm fine.
I might get taken out tonight.
So what are some of the things that you took from these couples and use in your own marriage to say I'm actually gonna do better, or I'm gonna work on this so that I know that I'm not gonna leave my wife because of this. You know?
Communication. I see how easy it is to look the other way in terms of being attracted to someone and having a vulnerable moment. So I think there is such a thing as trying to avoid temptation. Right. I also think as men, Ari's the man of men. So I can't classify him in what I'm gonna say. As men, sometimes it's hard to communicate. As men, as human beings, it's sometimes hard to listen to each other. Because the things that are leading to the marriage falling apart, the relationship falling apart, most times are very obvious.
It's the listening.
You just didn't want to listen.
See, I can say that I don't listen and I don't communicate well, but I do put things together really quickly.
So you're honest.
Yeah.
Which is key.
I can admit that I don't listen, but I can also feel that when things is getting like astray, like okay, well maybe
you need
I
to
should
figure it out. You got to put it together quick.
Figure it out and, you know, buy this and do this and take care of this and talk to her about this. You know, because talking is good though, like right, because like if you can, and there's always that down moment. You know about it, right? That moment when y'all in the bed,
right?
That's the moment. That's
and you feel the energy.
That's the
because you probably communicate more at that time,
because
right?
Because you know
you're relaxed.
You got two kids in the bed sleeping. You got one.
Oh, they're not in the bed with you in between you kicking in the head.
One of them already.
Well, no.
Oh,
I've been killed that off.
Well, you better than me.
Oh, you good?
You won 7. You been at what 1 year?
1 year. Yeah.
I ain't figured that part.
Because you gotta wrestle. You know, the wife like to keep the kids with them, right?
I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm still figuring it out. Yeah, I'm just saying you better than me.
I fixed it.
I didn't even do that.
I fixed it on my third child though.
Nice.
Because I was like, I can't have this kid in the bed because I'm trying to make love to you.
Wow.
You told that.
Romantic.
Yeah. Like straight out.
And,
you know,
and that was the first time you said it like that, and she understood.
She probably didn't understand the first time until I seen that little boy in the bed, and I was like, yo, listen.
Yo, I can't.
Remember what I told you yesterday, right? But, you know, and all in all, like, you know, you try to be real, right? Like, I feel like marriages are not as real as they supposed to be.
You absolutely right.
Like, I know couples who spend their whole time together. I feel like marriage, you don't have to always be together, right?
I've been guilty of this. Go ahead.
So you don't have to, I go to the store, you go to the store with me. I go do this, you do this with me. We don't have to do things together. We just have to know and understand that.
Right, but what are the things, like, what would be the things that you can say, like, we don't have to do together, or we must do together, or it's okay if we do it together?
Well, I think one absolute must is you have to deal with finances together. Or at least there be an awareness.
Right. That's
awareness.
There you go. Say it again. You got to say it loud.
There has to be an awareness of the finances together.
There you go. Awareness of the finances.
Because at the end of the day, one person can't have the checkbook, and the other person not have a clue where the checkbook is if you're no longer here.
What if one is managing a checkbook and one is balancing the checkbook?
Give it a difference. Manage versus balance. You mean one's spending all the money and the other person's like, where's our money going?
There you go.
Well,
that happens.
It does, and it has to be.
It happened to you?
No, I don't balance. I don't have a checkbook, so I don't worry about
that has to be figured out, because that, you know, before you know it, instead of a divorce court, you both walk into bankruptcy court together.
Question: do you, because we're gonna wrap it up soon, but do your wife know about all your finances?
Yes, she does, and I can't say that's always been the case, either because I didn't disclose, or I'll say I got a great enough wife that she didn't ask.
How about I'll say I plead the fifth? Is it okay? Is it okay?
I don't know. That's customizable. That's like, how do you want cheese on your burger?
Like, do you want
cheese on your burger?
But if you leave your statements around, so it's
open and accessible.
Open. There you go.
And what? And
it has to be updated.
They just don't look at it. I hope. At least so you know it's.
This is about 2 months ago. No, but like you said, I think that's the number two. It's two reasons. My personal opinion, and you already said it, that marriages fell pretty much is because of the lack of communication.
That's right.
And finances.
That's right.
So it also has to be one more thing.
But do you think marriages fell because of those couples growing up, that they didn't see enough married people around them, as far as like their parents, their grandparents, probably uncles?
Hereditary. You could say it's hereditary.
That's all growing up.
You are going to duplicate what you see for the most part. Is
that why?
It takes a lot of internal strength.
I'm sorry.
What?
That's false.
What? So you mean a lot of
you basically you're saying you see what you do what you see, right?
A lot of times.
You do it. But you disagree with that.
My mother and father was never married.
Because you decided to break that
But you
cheese,
see,
though.
you
Something
forgot what we
happens,
said
though.
earlier. You're
Right.
cut from a different
I
cloth.
was drinking
Right.
Hennessy. Shout out to Hennessy. You want to put that?
If they're sponsored, then I support your sponsorship. You know,
They're really not.
so-
But-
Well, we working on it.
But
Yeah, we
I
working
think
on
at the end of the day, what you're
Right.
looking at is, you always have to subtract yourself from the equation. I have to subtract myself from a lot of things that I see because of what I'm privy to, right? So I think what you did see great examples of married couples. And I think the first place one of the main places you saw, if not the first, was in your mind, of what you wanted this to be.
Right.
You visualized what it was going to be.
The Huxtables, the
So
Cosby's
growing-
was a good show.
It was an excellent show, and I think that's what a lot of people base their their homes on. Well, we were. I
the
was.
Cosby's. I was a modern day Cosby.
I really was.
There she go.
I had my
Well, that's
parents.
all right.
Yes, I was.
She was she was one of the Huxtables.
But I can't even
Well,
get the
growing
name
up,
of it.
yes. We
Shout out-
we were
shout
good.
Shout out
we
to
were,
Bill
we were pretty
Cosby,
decent
because,
growing
you
up.
know,
Yes, we were in my household.
Shout
my
out to Bill
parents,
Cosby
yes.
because he's gonna do this time and he's gonna come home fit and ready to go. You know, got some more
You
Jello.
only hope.
Jello.
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 Yeah, pudding.
That's
Put
what-
some pudding. Well, go ahead. Nah.
Yeah. But you're a great. One of the hardest things to do is to deviate from what you've seen.
Right.
So if you were a witness and saw great marriages,
Right.
I would say I would gamble that you're probably going to be a part of one in your lifetime. If you saw a lot of turmoil, it's no different than if your parents are alcoholics. Isn't there a greater chance that you're going to be
That you're
alcoholics?
gonna be
Right. Unless you
Shout out-
decide
It's
that
far
I'm not
from, and
gonna.
it has nothing to do with
yeah.
Hennessy.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you witness certain types of abuse,
Then that's what
Then
you're
that's
gonna.
what you're gonna
right,
be prone
right.
to.
So
Right.
so it takes a lot to break and deviate.
So
deviate
growing
away
up as a did you?
Oh, my parents are happily married for years, and
that's where you took it from. Like this is what I'm gonna do.
very
eventually
much so.
one day.
Very much so. I'd like to think I'm every fine trait that my father exhibited. Growing
Yeah,
up.
and that makes perfect sense because I did have great aunts and uncles who were married for almost 50, 60 plus years, and great grandparents who were married for 86 years.
Wow.
And one passed, and the other one passed the next week. So it was destined for them to be together, and then also pass pretty much together. So like I do see that, and I feel like a lot of people are not privileged to that long term marriage.
You're right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
And that's hurting
And that's
not just
right.
us but the community, because now they see it in a different realm where it's like, well, that's just my baby daddy,
Right, splintered households, right.
and that's just my baby mother,
And they're okay with
and I'm gonna I'm not gonna be as respectful as she is a wife, because technically, according to the laws in
You
the Bible,
should.
right,
Right,
that
they
if
should.
you're
Right.
if you're together, that's your wife,
Right.
so you should treat her as,
There you go.
and you should treat him as.
It's a sacred bond.
There
Right.
you go.
Right.
And you don't see that anymore, and that's what's going on in
So
society.
do you
today.
agree with even
You asking me or him?
I mean.
I'm answering
You
my
seem to
questions.
be doing really well over here. So,
Well, today I'm doing well. Today
So, no.
today is my day to grow. I'm growing as a human being. But
I mean, really quick, I just wanted to know, like, do you agree that the man should respect, even if they're not married to the kid's mom, respect her as if it was his wife?
absolutely,
Absolutely.
Because you don't have that a lot these days.
And if he's in a new marriage, he needs to respect
Right.
her as the queen of the household where his
He
children
rests his
reside. No, if they're not together.
If they're not, if they're not,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it,
re-
right.
respect her as the queen of the household where the children reside. And even, all right, let's get even funkier. Let's say the queen of the household where your children reside, there's another person assuming the role of king in that household.
Okay.
Like you got to interact with this new person.
Where's my gun at? Because this.
I was going to say, you got two, that's a battle of two kings, right?
Right.
But you also have to, like, when it's a battle of two kings, the king that's not there should also understand that guy is being the provider of that household.
Right.
Just the household.
Right.
He's
Just
not,
the household. Right,
He's not
right.
the provider of the children.
Right.
He's the provider of the household.
Right.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that gets screwed
so
up
proud
in
of
society
you.
today.
I agree. But that comes from what the two kings were exposed to,
Exactly.
It takes a lot. When I meet two men, like, one one is on the outside and he has children with the wonderful woman, and that woman decides to be in another relationship. When the two men respect each other,
she has to be wonderful again. I forgot.
Well, she had the kids, right? She's taking care of them. I like to assume she's taking great care of the kids.
Oh, okay.
I always like to assume the greatest of individuals.
Absolutely.
So, but when the two men, men got egos. They
we're egotistic.
There's a lot of alphas like this that just they can't not butt heads. You see, we're not butting heads.
I don't want to be an alpha because I'm not an alpha.
You can't help. By default, you are.
I'm not an alpha male though.
Your first name starts with A.
True story.
So.
He's making a lot of sense.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it takes a lot for a man to submit and say, "That's not my role. This is you. You can have that." And you know what? You can have even space in my home to see your children.
Yeah,
right.
It takes a lot.
And we can play. We can play. Play basketball together. That's not gonna happen.
No, I don't think it's gonna go that far.
I think it should happen though.
It can, and I'm sure there's instances it does.
Don't,
but
Jada and
I don't.
what's her name? Will Smith.
I don't
oldest
know.
son. They get along like that.
But
that's women.
That's
though.
different.
That's women.
That's women.
There's a lot of money. There's a lot of fame involved. There's cameras on, and I think there's a lot of things that go. But I commend them for doing.
I
For
feel
being
like
able to
it's
do that.
pretty much off cameras. I feel like it is like that too.
Before we close, right? The top 3 divorces that not you have, but you have seen celebrity divorces because I like celebrity divorces. To the top 3, and now.
Oh boy,
Top 3.
I might need some help with this one.
No, you're not. You got it. I got.
All right,
I got 2 for you.
I don't know where this
I
one
know.
came from,
I got
but
2 from
were Jermaine Dupri and Janet Jackson married?
No.
All right, that didn't work.
Should we do a countdown? 10.
Okay, go ahead.
9.
You don't have to countdown.
8.
Shaq and his wife.
Okay.
Kobe and his wife. See, I'm going basketball.
No, they didn't marry.
Kobe and his
they
wife
didn't
got
get divorced.
Oh, pardon me. Right. All right, so Shaq and his
Okay.
wife.
Okay.
Tim Duncan and his wife. Because they said Tim Duncan is supposedly.
And I'm gonna tell you where you're wrong at. Go ahead.
All right. Let me go out of basketball. Leave basketball alone.
Yeah, leave basketball alone.
What about Tisha Campbell?
Oh, you said that solo. I'm gonna act like I said it. Yeah, Tisha Campbell and Dwayne Martin.
That's surprising.
I said
That
the first
was
2.
hard. That
The
was
first
hard.
2.
That's
Michael Jordan and
surprising.
his wife, and
I thought about Michael Jordan,
and
but
then Tiger Woods and his wife.
Oh, those are
that
2
one.
mean ones.
And
Those are
then,
2.
Shaq and
Not Shantae.
the girl.
Yeah.
Shout out to the girl.
Yeah.
Come on the show. Talk about your life.
It'll be an interesting story to tell. Michael Jordan and his wife, they still lived in the same residence for the first couple of years. Mm-hmm. Tiger Woods, that's the story. You're still a multi-millionaire after breaking off multi-millions.
Jordan too.
Jordan got someone, he don't know how much money he got. You want to talk about leaving bank statements on the table, he could do that. He could leave bank statements on the table from 10 years ago. And you say, oh, yeah, that's a lot of money.
I'm not leaving bank statements on the table from 2 days ago. But as we close this podcast, oh man, this is interesting conversations that we had.
Yeah, this is fun.
About divorce.
It's like
And
the second.
But
It is the second show.
This is the second show.
And the second dope.
Dope
show.
And I'm gonna try to get Tika husband to get divorced so that we can split.
I don't want to get divorced. I
No, so
want a
we can-
husband.
So we can split the money.
No, I want a husband. I appreciate you helping me
She
get
don't
a
want to
husband.
split
I don't want
the
to.
money.
I don't want to be divorced.
Fine. I just want to split the money. You can get a
It's
Tiger
not that
Woods
much
type.
money.
But you can get a Tiger Woods type of guy. A white guy. White guy.
I don't think Tiger
I
Woods
just
is
want a
type.
husband.
He's not Tiger Woods.
I don't think she's interested in Tiger Woods type.
Whatever. I don't care. But
I'm gonna listen to him because he. Look, I'm gonna
this
listen to
is
him.
this is Real Conversations. This is episode 2, season 2. Be in tune, people, because we are coming. We might be coming for people next. Who you are again?
Sandler Francois of Premier Paralegal.
Where you from again?
Brooklyn, New York.
Sapate.
Psycho say indeed.
Yeah, we out.
Peace.
All right.